This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Connetti il mondo.
Pierre, Flash, Bitcoin Flimmaker, Kenya.
Golf is known for its patience and precision, but it's also one of the few sports where networking on the green is just as important as the game itself. If you could trade your golf clubs for Bitcoin education tools and teach the sport to beginners, would you still hit the course?
No.
The Mojito is a refreshing classic, but it can be tricky to get just right. If your favorite bar ran out of mint and had to substitute it with basil, would you still order a Mojito?
Yeah.
You've balanced filmmaking, business, and consulting throughout your career. If you had to permanently give up either filmmaking or business consulting to focus entirely on one, would you find that choice too difficult?
No.
A good beach vacation often means relaxing under the sun with a drink in a hand. If you had to spend your next beach trip but with no access to sun lounges, would it still feel like the perfect getaway?
Yeah.
Pay with Flash makes Bitcoin payments accessible and fast. If someone proposed a partnership with a meme coin project that could triple your user base, would you even consider it?
No way.
Making documentaries requires both creativity and discipline. If someone suggested filming your next project entirely in black and white, would you think it could still capture the audience's attention?
Yeah.
Do you prefer the Bitcoin bear market over the Bitcoin bull market?
No.
You've transitioned from working with big corporations to focusing on Bitcoin education. If a major corporation offered you a consultant gig that clashed with Bitcoin principles, would you ever consider it?
No way.
Eminem's lyrics are all about precision, while Parcels bring a modern yet nostalgic sound. If you had to pick one to write the soundtrack for your next Bitcoin documentary, would you choose Eminem over Parcels?
Yeah.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connected World Weekly Podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 129 of Connected World, and this show is made possible by our friends from Bitonic and BRINGIN. Thank you guys for helping us out with our mission to connect the world with Lightning through the Bitcoin network. If you also want to help out with our mission, then follow us on Twitter or X, subscribe at YouTube, or follow us on Nostrdam. If you have any questions at all, then head over to our Telegram group and you can ask us anything. And of course, a donation is always welcome.
Heel knut. Wel.
Yeah, welcome to the show, man. Good to have you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Very, very cool.
Of course.
And you're all the way in Kenya right now for the conference.
That's right.
It's called the Africa Bitcoin Conference, right?
ABC.
Yeah.
ABC.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's correct.
ABC with a Bitcoin sign, yeah.
Yeah, great. And yeah, you told us that your favorite holiday is something beachy or on the beach. But now you're in the capital, Nairobi of Kenya. And you brought your wife. You told us in the pre-talk. So I assume you also have a bit of a vacation there together.
Yeah.
So, but there's no beach there, man, in Nairobi.
No. Unfortunately not. But just here for 1 week. When I told her that I was coming to Kenya for a conference, she instantly said, "Well, I'm coming too. We have to go do safari." So came here a few days early, and and now just enjoying the conference before going back to
mixing
to Europe and the
work
cold.
with pleasure.
I think that's the easiest way to keep the wife happy, right?
Yeah, that's really important.
but she's listening now, right? So you can't
Yes.
say anything other than that, right? So
No, I have to behave.
But
that's correct.
So she can drink the mojitos and you need to work then.
Yeah, exactly. That's unfortunately that's what it looks like. But Bitcoin conferences, especially I'm not a speaker at this conference, so it's really just networking, talking with people. It doesn't feel like work that much, right?
But you have spoken in a couple of conferences this year. Why did you not speak at this one?
Because plans were made too late. I reached out to them like 2 weeks ago, and so the trip was done very last minute. So unfortunately, not. But it's okay. We're here to meet people from the region, and so this is accomplished.
Yeah, and I think the networking is really key. So that really works.
Any first thoughts about Kenya in general, and but also the Bitcoin adoption and all in Kenya, Pierre? What have you learned already from your days that you've been out?
Yeah, so Kenya in general it's a very nice place. People are so kind. Everyone is so friendly. There's so many nice things to see. And when it comes to Bitcoin here, well, it's the kind of place where they're behind Europe and the developed West when it comes to payment solutions, which means that they jump certain steps, right? I live in Poland, and I see it already there. There's the check technology of you write a check that you give to the bank.
School.
That doesn't exist in Poland. I remember 10 years ago when I came back to Australia, I got one for my retirement after working in Australia, and I couldn't find a bank that would cash in this check, right? But at the same time, you see, Poland didn't have this technology, quote unquote, but they jumped into, nowadays, for example, they're the #1 country in Europe with direct account-to-account payments, which is kind of the custodial banking way of calling peer-to-peer payments, right? So they're ahead when it comes to that, and you can see the same thing here. Since 2017, there's M-Pesa in Kenya, so it's digital payments, and there's a great company here. They're called Tando, and they allow anyone to pay for M-Pesa, but in Bitcoin. So I just pay a Lightning invoice, and the restaurant, the person I send it to, receives this in their M-Pesa account. So they're just very open to this, and they're looking for technology that allows them to accept modern types of payments. So I think.
That you see the innovation from the beginning, from our what we are accustomed to, and then if you travel to a place like this, then it's just you're traveling to the past, something like that, and you can see it with other eyes, of course, because you bring a lot of new experience to it. So
100%. Here, it's quite normal to pay using a QR code in Europe. I don't know a single country that has that, right? I think that's just a good example. But we're bringing this with Bitcoin, right? That's the point.
But it's also, I can imagine that for you, it's even more interesting to see all the development than for us. Or Edward and I are making a Bitcoin podcast, and we are focusing on the Lightning Network. So for us, it's maybe also very interesting to follow all these developments. But you're working on Flash, the payments processing side of the Lightning Network. So I can imagine that for you, it's even more interesting to see all the things that's going on there, right?
Yeah, and especially, the most visits we get on our website and on our app are from Africa. That's the reason we decided to come here, to try and meet people, because if, your users come from here, well, we have to go reach out to them, understand what needs they have, and try and onboard them more easily. And like with what we're doing at Flash, we like calling ourselves the Stripe of Bitcoin, because we have these modern payment solutions. They're all using like direct debit in Bitcoin, because we use Nostrdam Wallet Connect to do that. And that's we can bring Bitcoin payment solutions to the same level of user experience as Stripe does it in the fiat world. The difference is we're non-custodial. There's no KYC needed, and there's no risk for our users, right? So that's it's important for us to be able to show that it's difficult for them to access these kind of payment solutions, but they do exist out there, and the solution is Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. Can imagine. And the last thing I wanted to ask you before we dive into the 21 minutes is I asked you, do you prefer Edward asked you basically, do you prefer the Bitcoin bear market over the Bitcoin bull market? Because
and you were
I was
doubting.
thinking you're a builder because you build a product. And I mean, I'm not even building something, and I get distracted by all the price action and all the kind of stuff and new people joining the space, and now there's the meme coin shit all over the place, obviously. So I asked you, and you're very in doubt. What are your thoughts? I mean, I can imagine that for you, if you're building stuff, it's way better to do in a bear market, right?
So yes and no, right? In the sense that the reason I was hesitant is because during the bear market, that's when like the real work is done, and that's when the people you work with, it's the real deal, right? It's like there are people that are focused on Bitcoin, they're dedicating their life just like I am, and so that's when you build a strong network. So that's the positive side of a bear market. But at the same time, well, I mean, first of all, you lose money on a bear market, so that's always painful, and also even building a business, and we're really going to experience that now, but there's just more eyes on Bitcoin, on what you're doing, and I think it's easier when it comes to adoption, but also easier when it comes to raising funds and so on, right? So it's kind of
sure.
On one side, I think it's better to build during a bear market, because everything you do then you kind of have more time. If you have the funds and the time to do that, and then during the bull market, this is when you can see exactly how what you've been building is used out there, and find new opportunities.
I think in a way you can make the most out of both worlds, right? I think that's maybe the good way to put it, and just make the most out of the time you get in the bear market, and make the most out of the new customers, the adoption, and all the attention and funding also out of the bull market. So these are interesting times for you now also.
Yeah,
so,
and of course, for that innovation, you also need customers, you need users, and in the bull market there are more, of course.
Yeah, that's correct.
So that's a positive. But then you can test it all and see if it works.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and I think also that's really what we want to be able to get into 2025, which is also unlocking new use cases, because we're doing direct debit in Bitcoin. Like direct debit in self-custody, if you think about it, never existed in the history of finance, right? And so there's a lot of use cases that can be built that with which we can automate payments, including micropayments, because of course the Lightning Network allows to do that. And so there's a lot of different proof of concepts right now that we want to be able to bring to production, and just be able to test this on the market and experiment it, because some of them are crypto Web3 degen fanboys wet dream, right? And we can do all of this in Bitcoin, and it can only be done in Bitcoin, right? So I think it's the moment where we can experiment with these kind of things as well, and hopefully try and get more people to leave the Web3 world and just come onto the right side of Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, they all will,
because they care about use cases, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Hey, cool, man. Well, let's talk about the Flash. We already did a bit, but let's talk about Flash and your work as a Bitcoin filmmaker. But yeah, we want to do it in the 21 minutes, Pierre. So if you are ready, we would really love to enter that part.
100%. Let's do it.
The 21 minutes is brought to you by BRINGIN, the app to reliably sell and spend Bitcoin from any wallet. Yeah, let's start with Flash. There are a lot of extra questions that are popping up because of this intro, of course. But let's start with, it's described, of course, as a next generation payment gateway. Can you describe how you started funding Flash at the beginning, and why did you wanted to build it?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a lot of trial and error and experimentation. So the very first thing, I founded Flash with my co-founder. He's called Hugo, and we're friends since like about 20 years now, and we never worked together at all. But when there was the rise of ChatGPT and the OpenAI APIs and so on, he just invited me over. He was like, "Look, Pierre, there's opportunity. Let's try and do something." And I said, "Okay." But it's got to be in Bitcoin. And so we created what we called back then Talk to Satoshi. So we released it in May of last year. And it was the first AI chatbot that was answering as if it was Satoshi. And it was getting the answers based off a bunch of different Bitcoin books, like The Price of Tomorrow, the Bitcoin Standard. There was also the transcript of my documentary, but also all of the communications that we had from Satoshi, where it was, a Bitcoin talks, whether it was a cryptography mailing list. So all of this, and he would ask a question, he would go and fetch an answer from that. And with that, we were covering all the costs from the API. It was, of course, a lot of people started using it.
Yeah.
The API's costs were kind of, because it buzzed. There was 300 articles in the first week written. It was really cool. And so we thought, well, actually what we can do is we can add a donation. So, generate a Lightning invoice and people could just help us donate to cover the cost. No one really did. We did have some liquidity issues and stuff like those, part of just the learning. But that's the first time that we got into building on Bitcoin and payments. And in fact, it was the first time I was back into programming since I quit my corporate job. And, because first I was doing filmmaking. So, that was the first step. And from there, we were like, okay, we're also very interested in Nostr because it's like great technology for like just communications and so on.
Yeah.
And what can we do here? So we spent like 5 months building this thing we called Nostr. That was like a API communication with microtransactions to it was like super complex stuff, super niche, like niche within a niche within a niche. So the week we released it, we thought, okay, actually we should change it. We should change the name. We should change products. We should completely change it. And that's when we created Flash. And the very first product we had at Flash was just a basic paywall. So just a simple script you can add onto any website. And whenever this website is loaded, a paywall appears and you can set whatever amount you want. And, you just scan the Lightning QR code. And then the paywall disappears. And from there, we just started adding more and more features, focused first on content creators. And then we had one platform there called My Movies Plus. So they're a streaming platform. My film is on there, for example. So I have a good relationship with the CEO. And we were just presenting him where we could do paywalls per minute watched, with automated, micro payments as opposed to the way it works on Google or YouTube, where, you can rent a film, but you have to pay $5 for the entire film. Well, instead, what if you could just pay for 10 minutes? And if you liked it, well, you pay for the next 10 minutes and so on, right? And so we were selling him on this and he kind of saw what we were doing and he said, wow, okay, well, because we work with subscriptions, and he started digging into pushing us into doing subscriptions. And that's when I realized actually we can do subscriptions, because in building the previous project that was Nostr, we started experimenting with Nostr Wallet Connect. It's a new tech developed by the guys at Aldi.
Beginning.
Yeah, and essentially when we moved to Flash, I took a decision, together with my co-founder, of course, just because of the features, where, we just said, we go all in Nostr Wallet Connect. Every single payment solution we do is just Nostr Wallet Connect. There's maybe 1-2 wallets at the time that was integrated with Nostr Wallet Connect, but we're it's direct debit on Bitcoin. It's gonna work. And so with this in mind, that's when we realized, well, actually, not only can we create invoices and make some payments, but we can literally automate payments, make recurring payments, very simply. And so we, spent a full 10 days and made the first subscriptions, non-custodial subscriptions on Bitcoin. Awesome. And so that was, kind of the bigger first product. But from there we evolved. We have checkout pages, stores. We're about to release WooCommerce and Shopify plugins, and even our wallet in January that is also completely self-custodial, but with all of the like nice features that Nostr Wallet Connect allows. We're using Liquid, Lightning. We can like, you know, in the back end, choose the best network for the user based on who he's interacting with. Like, yeah, just a lot of exciting stuff that can be done with Nostr
It's
Wallet
like
Connect.
it's like sky's the limit, basically, right? If
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
working with the
literally,
stack,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
and
I
it
mean,
sounds like the same with a lot of project that if you can do one thing, you can do a lot of things, and it just sky's the limit. I mean,
and but also you see what I think is extremely interesting, and that's also something that is not yet unlocked, because, you know, it's still early days of Nostr Wallet Connect. We need to be able to build the right use cases, but we don't have a wallet yet. But you can still use Flash already to monetize, right? Because you can connect other wallets to Flash. And so if you have an Albi wallet, if you have a Coinos wallet, LiftPay, well, you can, and even if you're running your own node on Umbrel or Start9, like they're all integrated with Nostr Wallet Connect. And you can have a business where you accept payments, whatever it is, like in subscriptions even, and you can just automatically earn or pay for a subscription, and it all just happens in the background, right? So it's super interoperable, and I think we haven't had this level of interoperability in Bitcoin until now. And the fact that the guys at Albi and Boomi particularly came up with Nostr Wallet Connect, it's just it's amazing. I think it's really the next level of Bitcoin payments. And in fact,
you see
it's
that
the
with
next
their
level
LB
of
Hub, for example. It just connects so easy. Also, the Nostr Wallet Connect is amazing.
Yeah. And I think we're only starting to see like the use cases that, and we want to build as many of these use cases ourselves, because again, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, man. And I was thinking also, Edward, that the funny thing is we're now making this podcast for almost 2 years now, I guess. And in the beginning, this was really a topic we discussed already. Like we need to have interoperability, and now it's here basically.
Recurring payments, Bolt 12.
Yeah,
but like the truth is that Nostr Wallet Connect goes beyond Lightning. We're now, for our wallet, we integrated Liquid onto Nostr Wallet Connect. We want to integrate on-chain to Nostr Wallet Connect, and we were even talking today with a bunch of people here at the conference. We could even integrate M-Pesa to Nostr Wallet Connect, because it's really just a matter of what API do you decide to connect to what method? Like it's just in terms of interoperability, it's the easiest, and you know, it allows for always on like applications and wallets. So it's I think it's pretty groundbreaking, and I'm pretty sure that Boomi, when he built this, wasn't realizing the potential that can come with that. And I think
interoperability is key. It's so important for the usability and user friendliness. It's groundbreaking. You compared it yourself with SEPA and Swift at a lower level. So I think if you see it as an infrastructure, Lightning, Liquid, and an interoperable layer where everything connects to it, as easy as possible. Yeah.
It's because again, you know, it's really the way it really works is just if you can make an invoice. So there's like a Nostr Wallet Connect method. So, you know, getting into some like basic code here, but there's a method to like create an invoice or like to make a payment. So these are Nostr Wallet Connect methods, and any wallet, they can just connect their own APIs to these methods. It can work in whatever way they want in their backend, as long as it can either make the payment or create an invoice, right? Like, so it's just pretty magic, and it works whether it's custodial, non-custodial. It actually really doesn't matter.
Yeah, nice. And we already touched a bit on the recurring payments, but they are a game changer for Bitcoin. What industries or business models do you think will benefit most from this feature beyond the streaming platforms and other content platforms?
So I think it's likely going to be around the same business models like we see today, using subscriptions, right? Subscriptions is good because it allows businesses to plan ahead. They know what is going to be their revenue next month, as opposed to a per use kind of case. And so I think, you know, that's really where we're, when we see interest in subscriptions at this stage, it's really like content platforms, streaming platforms, like they're the ones that want to be able to reproduce this directly, but in Bitcoin. I think as it grows, there's going to be more of that. But at the same time, like with Nostrdam Wallet Connect, it's the easiest way to add any kind of peer-to-peer payments into any kind of application. And I think we're likely going to see more of that. Like if you think about it, Bitcoin was created about, like 15 years ago. Since then, it's possible to add peer-to-peer payments into any application. Yeah. Yet no one ever did that, right? Why not? Like, why not? And the answer is pretty simple. It's because if you allow peer-to-peer payments in your application, well, there's no revenue model. Like you destroy your business model. So of course you're not going to integrate that. But if you add direct debit to that, well, it means that whenever a payment happens peer-to-peer within your platform, well, the same way our fees mechanism work, after the receiver gets payment, well, you could trigger a fee payment, right? Because again, direct debit. So it means that you can trigger a payment if it's happening on your software, right? And so I think like that's one of the use cases that was impossible up until now, and that is going to be unlocked by Nostrdam Wallet Connect. And this means that if you want to add peer-to-peer payments nowadays, well, first of all, it's going to be extremely easy. It's going to be extremely cheap. And you can, of course, monetize on that and earn some money. And also, you don't need to KYC your users, like ever, because payments are happening on a completely abstract level. It's not part of your application. It's literally between the one user to the other. So I think it unlocks a lot of new use cases.
As a payments provider, you're not really doing the transactions. It's just you're only layering it to let it happen peer to peer.
Yeah, that's right. We're just like a software intermediary that just provides the software that simplifies payment from one user to the other. But we're never an intermediary when it comes to like, we never touch users' money, like ever, right?
That's a great incentive to do these kind of things. I was also thinking, well, you were talking a little bit about content creators, and now as you say, the fee payment, you can split it. So split payments is of course possible. But also I was thinking about referral based transactions, because that of course is a lot of people use that, a lot of businesses. How can this incentivize partnerships with the Bitcoin Lightning ecosystem? So well, we know how it works, but
no, of course. So I can give you an example, because we have a partnership that was announced a few weeks ago with a payment processor in the US. They're called Parallel Economy. And so they're a payment processor that like they focus on their clients, huge clients. Like one of their investors and number one client is the streaming platform Rumble. And they focus on platforms and clients that, for them, what matters is censorship resistant payments. Banks, they censor platforms. So there are some platforms that cannot monetize using tools like Stripe and others, or other like direct banking integrations, because banks have rules on what kind of content can be out there, right? And Parallel Economy, they're trying to change that. And because our system is non-custodial, we don't represent a risk for their users. And on top of that, with them, we have a referral way of working, which is the same referral that we have on our platform. So anyone can go on to Flash today, connect a wallet, create a referral link, and anyone that creates an account with this link, every single payment that this merchant receives, so directly onto his wallet, that's the moment when we trigger the fee payment. Well, rather than this being just one payment to our wallet, we do two payments simultaneously. One of them goes to the person that referred that merchant, and the other goes to us. And that's the model that we're also using with Parallel Economy. And we think that it's a model that can really scale, because along the way, everyone makes money, right? And that's what really got Parallel Economy going, is that they can actually do this in a way where they get their referral fee, and they and we don't represent a new risk for their clients, because whatever amount their client monetizes, it will always be on their self-custodial wallet. So even if something happens, we fail, whatever it is, they will still always own their Bitcoin, right? So there's no new risk for them. The only risk is temporarily they don't have a solution for their business, how to monetize in Bitcoin, until they find the next one, right? But their money is always safe because it's in self-custody. And so that's, that's the model that is interesting and that we can just do very easily. So it means that one transaction is in fact 3 transactions, right? And they're all automatically done, all with instant settlement using the Bitcoin Lightning Network, and everyone gets paid directly into their wallet. That is full self-custodial.
Split payments are so awesome. It opens a whole new world of processing.
Peer-to-peer like that, then you even don't need the liquidity. Well, in your own channels, of course, directly to the other person, but no intermediary.
No.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking, Pierre, platforms like Twitch, for instance, they could also adopt your Flash's model to revolutionize creator payments. What feedback have you received from creators or businesses exploring these options?
Very good feedback. That's one of the use cases that we want to be able to release sometime, I guess, in Q2 next year. So I don't want to give a name, but it's a pretty big platform, not Rumble, but a pretty big platform that also has millions of users, that has just added a payment solution that allows them to tip, content creators on that post videos there. But the way they had to do it is they had to build their a secondary interface in which essentially you have to KYC. And then the reason you have to KYC is because you give them like $10, and in exchange you get like 100 of their just in-app tokens, right? And so because they have these 100 tokens that they're holding for you that you can then use to tip directly into this application, well, then they become a custodial, right? And all of a sudden there's a huge problem when it comes to regulations, and they have to KYC. And it's the kind of platform, they're also focused on privacy, censorship resistance. So for them to have to KYC their users, it goes against their philosophy, right? And so when I presented what we can do and how easily we can do it, and that again it would be this abstracted layer of payment that they just call APIs basically, and allow for these peer-to-peer payments, and they can still monetize and get a fee afterwards. The first reaction was, so actually we can completely cancel what we're doing. I said, wait, relax, continue your plans. We can build this together. But that's the kind of reaction that, when it was the first time I was pitching this idea, and with Nostrdam Connect, we can build it fairly easily. Of course, with the experience that we have now after over a year of building with Nostrdam Connect. And so, that's the kind of feedback that was that's really something. And we have to be able to find the right partners to unlock that. So I hope we'll be able to do that for Q2, because the thing is that it doesn't unlock only for these kind of platforms. It can unlock for anything. We can literally connect to T-Mobile, for example, or any other phone operator, and pay per megabyte of data that you use, or your electricity bills, and pay because these payments can all just be automated and made recurrent extremely easily for a platform. The way we're building it is that you literally, we use Nostr as our user management. We we have all this tech that you'd have to onboard and explain all of this to a business. But if you allow them to just connect their wallet to a platform, and all we get from them is the unique user ID that they use in their database, and all they need to do is call an API that is the unique user ID of the sender, the unique user ID of the receiver, and how much is supposed to be sent, then we can just make this peer-to-peer payment directly using Nostrdam Connect, right?
What a momentum, right? This is this time that Nostrdam Wallet Connect exists makes a lot of things possible. It's great.
Exactly. That were impossible up until now, and that unlock business models and revenue models that were impossible up until now. So that's very exciting.
Interesting, yeah.
Hey, Pierre, you also are a filmmaker, and your documentary, The Great Reset and Rise of Bitcoin, explores transformative economic themes. How do these themes align with your work on Flash and its potential of decentralized economies?
Yeah, well, so my film is of course a very Bitcoin film. I even shit talk, other projects like Ethereum, like a bunch of other ones, and I think in the film I talk, of course, about the importance of self custody and how all of this works. But it was mostly focused on the future of finance from a personal finance perspective and protecting yourself against inflation and all of that. The way, this of course aligns completely with what we're doing because it's all about self-custody and bringing people onto Bitcoin, right? And, there's a lot that is being built nowadays and new integrations that can be done on Lightning, like adding USDT payments and the like, that's the kind of things that we're also exploring, because in the end, if you can get someone to start accepting payments because it's in USDT, but what he actually has in his wallet is Bitcoin, like that's a win, right? And so if we can bring people to use the same kind of stuff that they want to use day to day, because, they prefer stable coins, which I 100% understand, right? Especially if you're running a business, but actually in the background, you're onboarding them onto Bitcoin. Like that's the little kind of sneaky things
That's
that
lead
us to
They
they
don't know it, and they're just
and I think and that's really like the kind of philosophy that we try to have with my co-founder Hugo, and we constantly repeat to our developers, we constantly repeat to the different people that work with us, is that everything that we do is just technology, and it for the end user, it shouldn't matter whether he's using Lightning, whether he's using Liquid,
Absolutely.
whether it's on chain should be for savings. But it's we have to keep these concepts extremely simple, and all of this should just be backend. Because if Bitcoin works, well then no one is going to be talking about Lightning. No one is going to be talking about Liquid. Nobody's going to be talking about eCash. I mean, developers will, right? Builders will, of course, but end users never will, right? What we have to be able to do is build these payment experiences directly that allow to accept any one of these, and this all happens in the backend.
Yeah, that's great. And you already told us what inspired you to create the Great Reset and the Rise of Bitcoin. But I'm curious also, what message were you most passionate about conveying to the viewers?
It was really the last Bitcoin bull run. What was everyone talking about? It was really inflation, because it was right after COVID, right? So there was a big push in inflation. How can you protect yourself from inflation? And I wanted to make sure that people understand that, because it's, we work in this crazy system where we get screwed all the time because of inflation, and yet no one realizes it. I have conversations with people that say, I sold my house and doubled my money in 15 years. And I say, but did you really double your money? Did you really think about it? It's not that the house is worth more, is that your money is worth less. And being able to explain that and get people to because it is a very big mindset shift. And, being able to tell stories in a 1.5 hour format, like my film is, that explains it clearly. I thought there was no film for that. I got to do it. And I think it worked pretty well. Got over 2 million views now on YouTube. So.
Cool. And it's funny that you mentioned the house, the devaluation of money by looking at houses being sold and that kind of stuff. Because I always say also to my friends, this exact same conversation I have with them. They say, "Yeah, I sold my house and I made this profit," but I said, "Yeah, but the house you bought back, your new house." I mean, it's also doubled. So basically, it's not that you earn money. It's just that the money was devaluated, and you're now living in a house that's also 2 times more expensive than when you bought your first house, right? So it makes no sense. So and then you
100%.
see them think, right? So that's funny, man. So well, thanks for. I hear the TikTok and the gong.
Again.
So it means that it's over, Edward, isn't it?
It is.
Connetti il mondo.
And we have still one question left for you, Pierre, and we have a lot of questions that we want to ask you in a future episode. But for now, we still have one question left, which you may choose yourself. And I think I see here one name, and I think I already know which one you are going to choose. But let me tell you both: it's Michael Boomy from Albi or Kijan from Stacker.news. But I think we'll go with Boomy, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
Here
go
he
for
goes. Your friend.
So hi, my name is Boomy from Albi. And the question is it more important to educate users and people about keys and private keys and handling those keys? Or is it more important to hide keys away from the user, that they don't need to see them or be exposed to them?
Yeah, that's a good question, and one that we're wondering how we can approach this for our own wallet. But no, we want to live in a world of self-custody. Users need to be able to handle their own keys. But I think, it's just the beginning of that. We already have a bunch of ideas of how, and particularly using Nostr, are there ways for us to encrypt the private keys, cut them into different pieces, and post them publicly on different relays, and allow users to later be able to access them, right? There's a bunch of ideas that can be done this way that would allow users to, so for us to never hold custody of a user's keys, for him to be the only person to ever be able to get them. And I think, writing your keys on a piece of paper in the next 5-10 years, I think that's going to evolve a lot. But until we have the right solution to make this easy, user-friendly, and extremely safe, we have to educate people on that, and they have to understand that this is what gives them access to their funds. Because again, if Flash fails for whatever reason, well, they still need to be able to access their Bitcoin, and this is responsibility on them.
And also, you're now in Kenya, so I think it's also important to emphasize that it needs to be accessible also for people that can't pay for systems like Casa or something, because that's maybe too expensive.
Yeah,
so, making it very accessible.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Pierre, for the answer. And we will say hi to
Connect the build.
Hey, where can people follow you, Pierre? Let's start with the documentary. I assume it's on YouTube or any other platform.
Right. So it's on a couple other platforms, but generally, if you type "The Great Reset and the Rise of Bitcoin" on YouTube, that's where there's my channel. It's on a bunch of different channels. It's in many different languages. Also, the community translated it and added subtitles and so on. So yeah, you can find this on YouTube directly. Yeah.
Cool. And where can people follow you personally? Maybe are you active on Nostr and Twitter?
Not so much. I build on Nostr, but I'm not very active on Nostr. I struggle to be in too many places at the same time. But essentially, you can find me on Twitter, X. So it's if you search Pierre Corbin, you'll find me. But it's at Pierre Corbin, so you inverse the first letter of my surname and my first name. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well, of course, Pierre Corbin. Go check out Flash. So it's paywithflash.com, and we're also on Twitter with paywflash. Check it out. Reach out. We can help you start earning in Bitcoin.
Yeah,
cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and thanks for everybody else for listening in. And of course, thanks to everyone helping to connect the world with us together. If you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also make a donation and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. So remember, we need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sets flowing, and check out Pay with Flash. Interesting. And see you all next week on the same Lightning channel. Namaste, Pierre.
See ya, Pierre.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Of course.